G'day punters, welcome to a massive Cox Plate edition of All In, where we'll be covering the Manicato Stakes, the Cox Plate, and of course the spring champion. Welcoming in Dean Watling from the Barrier Attendant. Dino, how are you?
Going well, Gannon. Big weekend, the Everest, Caulfield Cup, and it doesn't stop here. Got the Manicato, Cox Plate, and then we just move into bigger races. So looking forward to it, mate.
Outstanding. Of course, we're without young Lewis Willoughby today, but he did send his tips through, and we will read them out as we go. Now, Dino, before we get to what's happening on Saturday, or in Friday night and Saturday, this massive weekend of racing, we're out at the Everest on Saturday. It was a huge day. What were your thoughts on the event as a whole and the Everest itself?
Yeah, it was quite amazing. The crowd just kept rolling in. We were out the back in the mounting yard sort of section, and when we walked out to watch one of the races, you could not see a thing on the grass. It was just packed with people. So well done to everyone. The weather was perfect. Track was great. Played outstanding. Props to the track managers and getting that track to where it was. And the event was great. Crowds everywhere, people everywhere. Drink lines were massive. Toilet lines were even bigger. But I think it's a positive for racing in Sydney, mate. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And got to thank you and Damo and the great tip-off. We had a great day out there.
Yeah, it was great. Steered the punters into a few winners, especially when young Brody Nixon chimed in early and steered the punters into a $9-10 winner. That was fantastic. Up you go, Brody. Mate, before we go, Lewis Willoughby sent a text. He says, make sure you let the punters know and the followers of the pod, the Everest looked to be one of the greatest race days I've ever seen. There you go. And I'm pretty sure that most, even the Melbourneites down there, will share that sentiment. It was fantastic. Out of the Caulfield Cup, I'll tell you what, Caulfield played pretty well and held up. The track held up really well. What were your thoughts on the Caulfield Cup itself? Horses to follow, perhaps, and anything across the day you like there?
Yeah, I think the Caulfield Cup's a hard race to follow anything out of. They absolutely crawled in that race, and you saw the best sectionals come from closers, and you can sort of rave and whatnot about those last bit of sectionals, but back markers were entitled to run on after how slowly run it was. I think the big horse to follow out of the Caulfield Cup is Knight's Order. Went too slow, Timmy Clark, and he was coming and surging back on the line. I think fourth up now will go to the Cup. I think he's probably one of the top Aussie chances in that. So I think it's a really hard race to follow out, and it's rated really down in the last couple of years. So, yeah, it was good. I think it was a good race on paper, good betting race in that sense as well. But overall, I think a bit of a knock on it this year. But horses to follow out of Sydney. Race 1, Cool Die. I was quite keen. The market was too. Should have won back to the inside. Just got way too far back. And in the Sydney Stakes, Wahaha Falls was a really, really good run. We expected it to run well, and it did. I think it's a black type group winner in the future, Gano. So
I agree with you there, mate. Wahiri Falls for sure, without a doubt, has a bright future. Marzu is a horse you want to follow for next year's Everest. Clissart down in Melbourne, we backed around the $41 mark. I think it's finished about fourth or fifth. And for mine, once again, Knight's Order, I think TC, for the first time in his career, he's probably got it wrong on a front runner. If you strung him out a little bit more, the horse wins. But that is the game that we play. I think the Melbourne Cup is perfect for it, and for mine would be probably the number one seed of the Aussie horses. If we can get a rain-affected Flemington, which, look, the way things are going, you just never know. But I'll tell you what, that's enough for in review. Let's look ahead. We're going to go to the Valley, Friday night, Manicato Stakes. First of all, what's doing? How's Nature Strip still in some of these markets? Please turn it up. How are we going here? We're going to kick off with Polili, $4, Bella Nipotina, $4.50, Rothfire, $7, Coolangatta, $8, Behemoth, $15, 11, 15, September Run, $15. Geez, we're getting a bit thin now. Vessel Bordeaux, $18, Economics, $18. Dean Watling, what I can tell you is that Craig Williams has been confirmed for Bella Nipotina, D Lane on Rothfire, B Mellum on Behemoth, and J Carr on Coolangatta. What are your thoughts on the Manicato?
Yeah, it's a good race. Plenty of speed, obviously, involved. I think Polili is probably short enough. I don't think he liked the Valley first up. Obviously, went to Caulfield and was a good winner second up. Back to the Valley now. I think Godolphin avoided the Everest to get the Group 1 with him here. I think the way the track plays is everything in this race. if you're on Polele, you're hoping they can run on. If they can't run on, you pretty much screw your ticket up, and you got horses like Cool and Gutter, Off Fire, Economics all roll forward. So if it's on pace, you're leaning that way. So I think there's a lot to dissect, but early doors, I think Bella Nipotina is the one that I want to be with. Was outstanding 2 back with the same race with Polele. Wider, sort of started the run earlier and was probably better than Polele late, has been freshened for this, and she races really well at the Valley, which is a massive tick for this. Needs to draw a gate, but I think if Bella Nipotina does, she's in career best form, no doubt, and I'm quite keen to be with her here. I know you are, and I think Louis is too.
Yeah, Louis was very keen. I'm extremely keen. I just really wish they came and lobbed up here for the Sydney Stakes. I think she would have won that with a leg in the air. But we're here. We're going to Friday night, and I think her run behind Cool and Gutter was extraordinary. It was barrier 11 there, so I don't even know if we have to draw a barrier. But another stride and we wins this as long as she draws, somewhere middle. I think she'll be winning. Polele, I have genuine concerns at that $4 mark and even just the Valley in general, but we'll find out. Righto, we're going to move on now. Probably the biggest, if not the probably biggest races on the Australian calendar for mine. This is a race that's just, I love this race. As a youngster growing up, this was the pinnacle. I know Melbourne Cup's there for everyone on Tuesday, but this was the race that I wanted to bet in. I wanted to watch, the Way for Race Championship of Australia. We kick off just with a few jockey bookings, and I'll go to the prices. We got Zaki, J. Carr, I'm Thunderstruck, Zara, M. Zara, Alligator Blood, T. Clark, Mwanga, Nashra Weller, Law of Indices, J. Allen, Mr. Brightside, C. Williams, Young Werther, D. Lane, Maximal, B. Mellum, L. Bodegon. Well, stand to be corrected there. Damien Oliver, Anamoe, J Mac, and Profondo, Chad Schofield. Any interesting jockey bookings there for you, Dino, before we move into the race in the market, or you think that's pretty standard?
Nah, I think it's pretty standard. I haven't looked too much into it. But interesting point that you made at the top. As a racing fan, Melbourne Cup's probably like the essence and the day and everything about it, the Tuesday, I think it sets it apart. But I think if you ask most punters, form analysts and all that sort of stuff, dissecting a race, pulling it apart, leading into it, I think the Cox Plate probably pips the Melbourne Cup, especially for myself. I would say it has a bit of an aurora around it, especially for younger punters as well. But looks a cracker this year. No real opinion on jockeys booked and that there, but I'm keen to dissect it now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think for mine, obviously Zara retains the right on I'm Thunderstruck after Price gave him a bit of a whack, saying Oliver's ready. If you don't ride him more forward, he rode him more forward, so he gets the ride and maintains the ride. I am interested. I noticed that Law of Indices, Jay Allen's booked. I would have thought that maybe a Sydney jockey might have lobbed there, but might just say a bit about its chances. To be fair, righto, we'll kick off here. We go Anamoe $2.10, Zaki $5, I'm Thunderstruck $8, El Bogadon $9, Mr. Brightside $15, and Alligator Blood, wow, out to 17s there. Cascadian, highly unlikely, Moanga $26. Dino, let's kick it off. First of all, yes or no, Anamoe, and then give us reasons why or why you're not betting in and around it.
I would back Anamoe at the price currently. I think the reasoning for that is obviously crabbed badly around that Caulfield turn last start. And I think he can't afford this year in the Cox Plate to crab around the Moonee Valley track, which is probably even tighter, weirder turn. He did handle it last year, but I think that was a completely different race shape with the weather and the track and slipping underneath him, which I think helped him. I just don't think at that price I can back him. Obviously, he's the best horse in the race, and he probably, if he doesn't crab around the bend first up, I think he wins that race comfortably by 2 lengths. I think the biggest thing about this race is the weather and what the track does Friday night. If that ruins the inside and they're sort of playing wider and coming down the middle, I think that suits him perfectly. He can sort of balance up, really get a nice turn on the bend and charge the line. But if it's sort of the inside's everything and you can't come wide, what does he do? Crab round and give Zaki and Alligator Blood 2-3 lengths to make up? I don't think he can do that. So price currently, I couldn't back him, but if it changes with the weather and the way the track plays, I think I could chime in. Absolutely
huge race. As far as all-in plays go, you just couldn't have your last dollar on anything here at this rate. I think obviously the market's been out there for a while. That the bookies are all over it. There's no real surprises here. If we get the right draw and we get the right conditions, and it's 3:00 on Saturday, and it lines up, I don't think we're going to get anything worse than $2 Anamoe anyway. And he very much can become a bet. I could see him rating clearly on top. I have no concerns about Moonee Valley. I have no concerns about the crabbing around Caulfield. I have no concerns of the 3 or 5 lame. He's the best horse. He proved that last year. He should have won the race last year. He will probably win the race this year, assuming we get even luck and even conditions. And young Lewis Willoughby's chimed in with Alligator Blood of the place he liked. So, and of course, punters Louis, you're remiss of me not to mention he will be on Manicato Stakes. He'll be on Sky Racing 1 Manicato Stakes night, giving his tips out. So make sure you do check him out. Get on social media, give him a rap. He's flying. He's doing a really, really good job. Then anything to add about the Cox Plate, mate? Obviously, it's one of the most prestigious days in Australian racing. Any thoughts to add on the race there, mate?
Yeah, I'd probably just add in that Zaki's probably the bet at the price early doors. I think he's got the most improvement here. And like I mentioned, he's probably going to get every single favours here. I just hope he goes fast enough. I think we've spoken about this before. He's got to break him. And what that means is they've got to go quick enough up front that he gets these back markers or these horses off the speed, like your Thunderstrucks and your Anamoes off the bit chasing before the bend, and hopefully he can slip it on the turn. And I think that's the only way he wins. If he goes slow, that allows those horses at close to get up and move up towards them. Close enough on the bend without doing any work, and then it's a sit and sprint home, and you're not going to have a turn of foot better than Anamoe and on Thunderstruck. So I think Zaki can be possibly the big upset here. How much improvement he has, I guess we'll find out Saturday.
Yeah, Zaki's the one that was still half a run short. You know what I mean? It was half a run short, probably getting closer to bridging that gap now. I'd tell you what would be really interesting, mate. Like, so we've got Zaki, Jamie Carr. Everyone just wants her to push the button and go hard, right? Barrier draw could be, interesting to see how that plays out. Then you've got TC on Alligator Blood, who also was criticised going slow last start, criticised going slow in the Caulfield Cup. You know what's going to happen here, right? I can just see this unfolding. Carr goes, we're going forward. I'm going to apply more pressure this time, yada, yada, yada. Timmy Clark goes, I'm not getting this wrong. Moonee Valley, tight circuit. We're going to go as hard as just handlebars down. Next minute, you've got Zara going, no, I've got to go forward. I don't want to lose this ride on this horse. The horse the champion. We're going forward. Hello.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like you could get to a stage where they overdo it, and then it just sets up. It's such a critical balance of going hard but not going too hard, and at the same time going hard but not going soft enough. So you need, and that's what they're the best jockeys in the world for. And Tim Clark and Jamie Carr are outstanding, so you got to back them to do that. But it would be a scary note knowing if you get this wrong by an inch, you've got the world's best or Australia's best horse in Anamoe on your back, ready to pounce.
What is it about the 800? They go past the school or something like that. It's just such a great moment in racing when they get to that mark and you just see them making their moves. It's going to be enormous. I cannot wait. I know the Everest is a great race and we're Sydney-siders, but for mine, Cox Plate is just still number one. I just love it. Righto, mate, we're going to move to Sydney now. Speaking of which, we're going to go Spring Champion Stakes over 2,000 metres. Got a couple coming out of the Caulfield Guineas here. Elliptical, Blake Shin on board. We've got Sharp and Smart from New Zealand that won a race at Warwick Farm the other day, the Gloaming, which was scheduled for Randwick, I think. With Hugh Bowman on. We've got Owen County, my mate, Fed Ingham, Lobs here. If it wins, I'll give up. Keegan Latham to ride. Primito, Osipenko, Flag of Honor, Williamsburg, Max Charlate, all those sort of likely to lob, but haven't necessarily have their places confirmed. I think there's only 3 jockey bookings there, interestingly enough. Now, as I bring up the odds for the Spring Champion, we've got Elliptical at $3.50, Sharp and Smart $4.50, Golden Mile highly doubtful $6, Williamsburg $6, Renaissance Woman, that'll be a 7-day backup $8, She's Extreme $8, Matcha Latte $9, Primito $9, Manzoice $15. Gee, I'll tell you what, they must be betting about 900% here. Dino, what are your thoughts on the Spring Champion Stakes?
Yeah, it's a bit sad. I think I saw in the media this morning that Osipenko is not going here and potentially spelled, which is a massive knock for the race. I think it would have been a great lineup to see Sharp and Smart, Elliptical, and Osipenko sort of go at it. Dry track, he wins the race, no doubt. I just think maybe spelling because they don't want to see him on a wet track or he's had an issue. So it really opens the race up. I've got no huge opinion early way. The track plays is huge. Obviously, bit different this year with the gloaming being on the Wednesday. It went from 1,800 metres back to 1,600 metres because it was at Warwick Farm. So they've got to go from 16 to 2,000 in a week, which is interesting in itself. Sharp and Smart was obviously a good winner of that race. Drier, the better for that horse. And then Elliptical, Howdy Line It Up comes out of the Guineas, which probably wasn't the best form reference this year. And it's very, very interesting that Bjorn Baker has Renaissance Woman in the market on the quick backup. Not sure if it's going there, but I think it was an outstanding winner down in Melbourne on the weekend. Come from a long way from behind, franked that Flight Stakes form, which the fillies have probably been better than the Colts this year. So if I could entertain anything, and it does line up, I think Renaissance Woman potentially could be the one at odds.
Yeah, mate, I'll tell you what's interesting. I've just been having a quick look, and I'm pretty sure that their starter points are correct. Sharp and Smart beat a horse called Mr. Maestro in New Zealand by a conservative 4.5 lengths.
Looks all right now, doesn't it?
Looks pretty good now. I have to go back and confirm that, punters, but that's what Racing Australia is telling me anyway. Mr. Maestro has now come out. And look, maybe acclimatise better, maybe greater leg. Flying is the favourite for the Derby. Should be, deserved favourite for the Derby. Won again, probably 3 wide for about 900 metres, doing all the work. And I wouldn't say pulled away, but was convincing and was there to be beaten on Saturday. And now you're talking about a horse that beat at 4.5, lining up against a whole lot of horses that are yet to be proven out to the 2,000. My question for you, Dino, is Elliptical looked great, flashed home, but is that the run of a 1,600 metre miler who has a good turn of foot late, or is that the run of a dour staying type that when the going gets tough will get going?
Yeah, they ran really slow and in that Guineas as well. So that doesn't give us any idea up to the 2,000 metres. So if you're looking at a betting prospect, Sharp and Smart's probably the one that's going to tick the box and probably has the most improvement. Like I said, they had that weird sort of change where they went obviously to the Wednesday. So he's missed a bit of work. He didn't have a trial as well. Had that one run in New Zealand and was first up over the 1,800 and then obviously got changed. So he could just jump out of the ground here, purely jump out of the ground. But I don't know. What opinion do you have, Elliptical? Going to run 2,000?
Well, he will run 2,000. Just depends on how quickly it'll run 2,000. But I think if they're going head to head last 200, I will have all my chips in Sharp and Smart every day of the week. So happy to be proven wrong. It's just a horse race, but for mine, Sharp and Smart is at $4.50 is just a fantastic bet.
I like it.
A young Louis Willoughby has gone with Elliptical. So there you go. And that's the joys of the great game. All right. Best all in play. Lewis Willoughby's gone with Bella Nipotina. Dino?
Yeah, I will double that. Bella Nipotina for me too.
Outstanding. And I will be going with Sharp and Smart as my best all in play. And I love Bella Nipotina, but, I can't keep copying Dino's tips. I'll go broke. Righto, we're going to go to Wednesday's Wednesday or midweek best bets. We are heading to Wednesday. Louis has Geelong race 5, number 7, Abaddon. Odds aren't out yet, but knowing Louis around that $8 mark, you know what Louis is like. He likes a bit of value and he can find a winner around there. Dino, what have you got for us, mate?
Race 1 at, where are we at? Warwick Farm. Race 1, number 6, Golden Age, comes out a very good form race at Rose Hill. Pungo has won since, Cool Die should have won since, and Pirelli's ran second since. So Golden Age for me, Gannon, race 1, number 6 at Warwick Farm.
Funny you mentioned it, Dino. My best bet comes in race 1, number 6, Golden Age. I think it's an absolute moral. I'm sorry, Sorry, buddy.
Is it a full brother to mine?
It just rates clearly on top. The form lines stack up really well. Punters, if you are looking for something else on Wednesday at Warwick Farm, the odds aren't out yet for this, but I think race 8, number 11, Picarones, was enormous at Sandown last start. Blinkers went on again, and it's improved. It's probably run nearly 2.5 lengths better peak, so 2.5 length career peak, better than it's ever run before. If it can reproduce that or similar, it will be winning this race. Hopefully we can get some good odds about that. So that's race 8, number 11, Picarones. Dino, been awesome. Mate, we've got a couple of big weeks coming up. We'll have a Derby Day preview. We'll have a Stakes Day preview. We'll have a Melbourne Cup discussions. Cannot wait. Thank you for your time, mate, and look forward to hearing all your stuff on SEN and all your stuff on the Barrier Attendant in the coming weeks.
Thanks, mate. Pleasure, and good luck on the punt this week.
Thank you. Good luck, punters.